This is the Mavic Free, the drone you've been waiting for. No doubt, one of the best drones you'll ever fly. The lens is so sharp, they had to include a second one made out of plastic, just to soothe your eyes. We flew out and we froze our balls off for you guys. I had low expectations flying out with this drone, but when I saw the footage, my mind was blown. Did you know by forcing the gimbal you can actually unlock it? That's why many times when I thought it was locked and it was flipping around, it was actually locked, but I unlocked it. So yeah, just by clicking it, it unlocks. This is my review of the DJI Mavic 3. I've given it quite a bit of abuse over the last week. I took it to Iceland and I thought that would be a great place to review it. Flying around here, it's like flying in your back garden. I took it there because it's windy as hell. There are some nasty distances you have to travel. It snows, and it's just the perfect place to review a drone like this, putting it through hell, which I did. In fact, there were some points that I took the drone out that I think people would have actually probably not even wanted to get out the car.
Right, when I say it's windy,
right here,
this is what I mean by windy.
Are about 50, 60 kilometers wind gusts, and this is the Mavic 3 right now.
That's how windy.
Just taking it easy, got it up pretty high, it's done its job, and it's time to get it down now. It's getting a bit... That's how nasty it was. Now, I did pick up the standard model, which comes in at €2,139. That's a lot of money. People say it's costing too much, it's far too expensive. Well, I don't think so. I mean, the Mavic 1 came in at 1,000, I think. The Mavic 2, 1,600, and this is coming in at 2,000, or let's say 200. So it's kind of going up, naturally. It's not too expensive. The $5,000 Cine model, that's too expensive. You're getting a 1 terabyte disk inside, which you can't remove. The whole point about a professional workflow is that you have discs that you can take in and out, give to someone, they'll copy it, put a new one in, and you keep on flying. In case your drone crashes, the material you had before is being copied, but here it's inside. I mean, to copy a 1 terabyte, you can't even do it with one battery. So I didn't see the point in picking up the $5,000 Mavic model. It's ProRes HQ, it's not ProRes HQ RAW. So you can't change any of the settings after the fact. And it's just not worth it. It really isn't. Looking at the footage that came out of this, I would not go back again and buy the Cine model. This is more than enough. And if you haven't used ProRes before, you're not going to need it. You really aren't. If you're in a workflow where you need ProRes, sure, pick up the Cine model, get yourself an Inspire, buy the ProRes, the license, and that's all you need. But this standard model is more than enough. I didn't go for the combo because I didn't want the $300 fugly bag, and it is fugly. I don't know why people are saying it's nice. This is all you need right here. Look at that, and a couple of batteries. That's it. You don't need the huge, massive bag. That's everything you actually need. So I'm just going to pick up a hub and 2 batteries, and I'm happy. And also the car charger. The car charger is very important because charging it with a normal charger or even a 65 watt, is it Anchor or something? I bought a charger. It charged a battery in full in the car in about 10 hours. Nightmare, absolute nightmare. Worst thing that could have ever happened. Do pick up the DJI car charger when it comes out. And I'm actually surprised it wasn't included in the combo pack like the Mavic 2 Pro had. DJI is saving money left, right, and center. They couldn't even make this the same color as this. Why? Just spray it. I know they're saving money, but just spray it this gray just to make people feel they have a premium product. I know this comes with a Mini 2. They took it out the Mini 2 pack. They put it in here. But seriously, just dark gray. I mean, I don't know. A few extra buttons on this controller would have helped, changing your iris aperture. So that's a big disappointment. And I know a lot of people are disappointed by the controller because it's a prosumer drone and it's coming with a controller that the Mini 2 comes with. Anyway, build quality. When you open it first and you have a Mavic 2 Pro, you're like, these feel like toothpicks. They do. I'm gonna get to a lot of good stuff. I am. And spoiler alert, I love this drone to bits. It is awesome. It's got this kind of, the Mavic 2 Pro weighed 20 grams more. This weighs 20 grams less, and they had to shave off some kind of, skin somewhere because this thing is huge. I mean, that probably weighs a ton. The battery is massive. I mean, this thing is humongous. So shaving off weight had to go somewhere. Now, it stands a lot higher than the 2 Pro, which is great because in Iceland, putting it down on stones and glaciers, nothing was hitting the ground. So it stands a lot higher, which makes me a lot happier because the bottom of the drone and the gimbal can move and they're not getting, scratched up. The propellers are a little bit longer and they feel quieter. They are quieter. They got this incredible sound when they're in the air. They're not like this. They're like this. They got this really beautiful sound. So they work really nicely. One thing that I complained about with the Air 2S, the experiment that DJI did, is the sensors. It had dual sensors in the front. I think it was an April Fool's joke by DJI. By the way, the dislike button is down there. These are omnidirectional. So they're actually like looking like this and like this. They see the side, they see the front, they see the back. You got 2 here, right here, looking up. You got 2 here, looking down. You've got the positioning sensors right there and the auxiliary lighting there, which is very, 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 very bright. The battery comes out here and it clicks in, produces a satisfying click. I don't know what people are talking about. And you have the SD card in here below the USB-C input. Now, getting in and out with someone who doesn't have nails, I don't have nails. I don't know if I could hide my face. No nails. Getting it in and out. Let's have a look. Putting it in. done. It's not a big problem. Don't moan about it. The fact that you can charge it with USB, any USB, is great, but like I said, it's got to be 65 watts for it to charge in the hour and, I don't know, 25, 30 minutes that it should charge in. Otherwise, you're going to be really, really frustrated. So if you're driving around, do pick up the 65 watt charger from DJI. The one I bought did not work, and having my one battery and Luke's, because I flew there with Luke, he had 3 batteries. He was kind enough to let me use one of his, so we had 2 batteries each. It was a nightmare. I had to take out my Mini 2 once because I just didn't have batteries, and I was like, oh, I've got to film that. You know the feeling. You're kind of like, oh my God, you got to stop and you got to film. I need to buy a couple more batteries and the car charger to make myself happy with this drone. Now, let's see. The controller, like I said, yeah, totally annoyed with the controller. It's just the color, it's small things. The RC Pro, if I had the money, I'd pick it up. Honestly, I would, because you get a lot more control, and flying a drone like this is all about control. You want to have more control when you're flying it. You want to get more professional, more stunning, more mind-blowing shots. And if you have more control, you have more options to do that. The range. Let's talk about the range. Now, it's got 15 kilometers, the OcuSync 3 Plus, which is in here, by the way. And if you look at the specs on the website and you go all the way down to the controller, you'll see that this controller has, and it switches between the O3 Plus, the O3, and the O2 for the Mini 2. So apparently you could use it for all of them, but you can only use it with this at the moment. I'm sure there'll be an update where you'll be able to just have one controller with you, which will be great. And same with the RC Pro, it only works with this at the moment. Filters. I didn't get filters because I got the standard kit, and we didn't actually need to use filters because it was so dark in Iceland. The sun would rise at 10:30 in the morning. It would go down at like 3 p.m. and it was just kind of dark, so we didn't need to use the filters. Another point about not needing to use the filters is that we were saved by the aperture. If it did get a little bit bright, we'd just bounce the aperture all the way down and get it, to the correct 180-degree rule that you need to film to have natural motion blur, which I need a lot because I fly quite low a lot of the time. So natural motion blur is, it's my kind of thing, especially in drones. But summer's going to come here in the next 8 months, and I'm going to need filters. So, and I'm in Poland, so it gets quite bright. Polar Pro, Freewell, PGY Tech, and I think Nissi are going to be sending me filters, so I will be doing a, test of those to show you guys what the filters look like, because you do need filters in bright conditions. Let's not kid ourselves. Even if you get it down to its lowest ISO and crank the shutter all the way down, it's still going to be too bright. So filters are needed, and they will be coming soon, as will all the updates in January. Well, I'm sure some of them, because I'm sure DJI will be updating this flagship model for a long time. So the range, I went totally off track, but this is a review, so you guys can listen to me if you're interested in purchasing this drone. The range was incredible. I was flying maybe beyond Vlos once or twice. No problems at all. I was flying over hills, behind glaciers. I was on top and behind a volcano. It was crystal clear all the time. I did buy this with my own money. This is not a DJI sponsored video yet, but crystal clear, absolutely fantastic transmission. The signal did not drop. Even for the signal, I wrote, wow. Signal did not drop once. It was crystal clear. Mavic 2 Pro would have dropped a lot of the time. In fact, when we were next to the now dormant volcano, there was a guy behind me with the 2 Pro, and all I could hear was beep, every now and then when he was trying to get to the volcano, because the volcano from Path C is about, if you're flying a drone, about 2,600 kilometers. 2.6 kilometers, 2,600. 2.6 kilometers flying in a straight line. That's a fair distance, and I saw my drone. Wind. For wind, I actually wrote holy shit. This tackled the wind. I was in disbelief at how stable this drone was. I took it out in ridiculous winds. I actually looked at Luke and I was like, screw it, let's do it. We took it out in winds that were, I don't know, 40, 50 miles. They were ferocious, they really are. We had trouble standing some of the time. This just, it was going like crazy, but the image was just completely stable. The Mavic 2 Pro would have probably handled it, maybe not as well. The Mini 2 would have been blown away, just, you know, somewhere into the sea. This guy above the sea, next to Vic, was just like this. The image was anyway, he was like that, but the image was like this. Absolutely incredible. When it comes to wind resistance, full trust in this drone, 110%. Flight time, yeah. Flight time is crazy because you're flying and you're like, when will this battery end? Your concentration starts dropping because you put a lot of concentration in, especially if you're flying low and through things and around things and you're doing, like, you know, parallaxes. It has a very, very long flight time. I'm not used to it because normally I'm like up like, but here I'm like flying like, it's still up in the air and I'm looking down, it's still got 56% battery in high winds, in freezing weather. By the way, when it comes to freezing weather, we were flying in like -8, -10 in the northeast side. No problems. You know, the Mini 2 went down to -25, so I'm sure this guy with the warm battery will easily go lower. Obstacle avoidance. It's got like 200 meter sensors, whereas the Mavic 2 had 20 meters, but just for fun, I did fly at my face and it just went around me and I was like, so that works for now, but I'm sure when tracking comes in January, it's going to be even better. I can't wait for the tracking. It's not something I need on the Mini 2, but something on this with tracking. The camera, so 24mm. The Mavic 2 Pro was a 28mm. It's wider. It's a lot wider. Is it too wide? No, it's a nice. Even when I'm using my camera, I like using the 24mm, the GM, you know, or the Viltrox, which is even better. Watch my film here. 24mm is good. It's actually so sharp that it hurts my eyes. It's very sharp. So I wish. One of the first things I wrote at the top of my sheet here, because I write everything, you know, was DJI Fly app. It's a big shame. It's a huge shame that this prosumer drone is using a toy app. DJI Fly is a toy app. It's got no place with this drone. This should be using DJI OM4. Is it OM4? What the hell is that app called? Go for. I'm tired today. I'm still tired from not sleeping. We slept in the car and stuff. It should be using a pro app where I can actually change the style of the image, soften it a little bit, get it a bit more filmic, a bit more cinematic. So DJI, if you could get this on the Go For app for us people who want it to be a little bit more professional, that would be absolutely awesome. And I know you're listening. I know you're out there. You didn't reply to my email. It's got a lot of detail. So photos. I take a lot of photos. I fly, I do my shot, I stop, and I'm like, and I'm taking photos. I flip around, around that side. No, it's not cool. I look back to the front. Taking photos. It's 20 megapixels. A lot of people are complaining, but it's not 20 megapixels on a 1-inch sensor. It's 20 megapixels on a 4/3 sensor, micro 4/3 sensor. So there's a completely different type of quality. It's like taking a photo with your, people saying, oh, that's great, it's got a million megapixels. But then you take a photo with your Sony A7R and it's day and night, So the photos coming out of this are very sharp, they're very beautiful, they've got a lot of detail and they got beautiful colors. I just wish, which is what I'm about to touch on now, that the long lens had RAW. And in fact, the long lens, I wish it had manual control. I wish it only had 1x and 7x, because going through 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, I don't need those stupid digital zooms. Does anybody use digital zooms? No one. Just give us 1 and 7. That's all I want. I want optical. It's a professional drone. 28 times looks like shit. Am I going to be using it for scouting? No, I'm not. I really don't think anyone out there is. Maybe some peeping toms, it might come in handy, but still they're going to be pissed off that the quality is really, really bad. And, RAW. And oh yeah, one more thing, watch the drone. When you're using the long lens, and even on your 7x, and you're doing a parallax, watch the drone, because you're flying and you're probably going to hit a building, you're going to hit a tree, you're going to hit something, because you don't know, you don't have the feeling like you do on a 24mm. It's easy to crash on the long lens. Be careful. I went through everything. That's long. It took me, oh hell. Any questions? Any comments? Drop them down below. If you did like this film, this review, quite long review, give me a thumbs up. But I did try and put it through hell to be able to come back and say, this drone is awesome. It is fantastic. I can highly recommend it. There are a few things that need to be fixed, like I said. And, maybe you could paint it yourself. Subscribe, yeah. Subscriber to my channel. You would love this drone. This drone is a winner. Go pick it up and do some crazy shit.